So as always, I'll show you some good reps and then we'll talk about it. So before we talk about the setup and execution, I have to mention three things. Number one, you can always just do a goblet squat. This is just a goblet squat with a barbell. And a lot of you are gonna find the setup and execution with a barbell to be not that comfortable. The benefit of using the barbell is you can load more weight. At some point, if you need to be squatting 100 plus pounds, getting a dumbbell of 100 plus pounds into position can be a little awkward. But at the end of the day, they're the same thing. And so if you don't want to do this, you want to do a goblet squat instead, that's awesome. It will be listed as a swap, I'm sure, but I want to get that out of the way right now. Number two, if you have a Smith machine available, a Smith machine is an excellent tool for doing a front squat, and you're more than welcome to give that a shot. I'm not going to record a whole nother video. I don't have a Smith machine, but you can recreate everything I'm doing and saying right now in the Smith machine, and it'll work really well. And last, I'm going to be stepping out of the rack forward and then doing my squats. You should absolutely not do that. You should be facing into your rack, getting into position, and then stepping back and doing your squats. I just can't film like that. You guys can't see me if I'm facing that way. So I'm gonna be stepping forward, but do not do that. You should set up facing into your rack, step back into position, and then start your squats instead of what I'm gonna be doing, which is stepping forwards. Oh yeah, maybe a fourth one too. Please use some heel elevation. We are using this to target the quads. And when you use some heel elevation, it's just gonna make that easier. And so use your wedges or a couple of small plates or squat shoes or Olympic weightlifting shoes if you have them. So the biggest issue and the thing that we should talk about the most is actually getting the bar into a comfortable position. And I'm gonna show you three ways to do that. And there is not one that is better than any others, especially if we're talking about hypertrophy. The first is the most common, is an Olympic weightlifting style. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna place your hands roughly shoulder width, and you're going to pull your elbows underneath it and place the bar right here on your collarbone or above your collarbone. And if you feel like the bar is choking you to death, you're probably in a pretty decent position. I bet you thought I was gonna say there'd be something wrong with that, but that's actually where the bar kind of needs to go. And so again, you're gonna put your hands about shoulder width. You're going to tuck them underneath, let the bar hang in your fingertips, bring your elbows up tall. Don't walk forward like this, but here is the Olympic weightlifting position with the bar in your fingertips and running along on top of your collarbone between actually the top of your chest and the front of your shoulder. And then from this position, we'd get into our squat where we are trying to remain upright, right? Let the knees travel out in front of the toes, keep the chest up, and squat. And the number one mistake that I see is having the elbows drop. If the elbows drop, you're more likely to tip over and kind of ruin the point of the exercise and also maybe drop the bar. And so the biggest mistake will be people dropping their elbows, dropping their chest. And so what we want to do is keep our elbows up, which will help us keep our chest up. Now, the second way to hold the bar is a little bit more comfortable. I call it the meathead style, and it's going to involve you setting the bar up at around chest height, and you're going to straighten out your arms at around shoulder height, and you're gonna wedge and kind of find that position on top of your collarbone in front of your deltoid. And then what you're gonna do is get nice and comfortable and then go one arm over the other and then stand up. And obviously you're not gonna be walking forwards, you're gonna walk backwards. And then you're really doing the same thing. You're keeping your elbows up, your chest up, head up, and you're squatting nice and upright, letting the knees travel over the toes. And this is gonna be a lot easier for a lot of you because the Olympic weightlifting technique is going to really challenge wrist mobility and shoulder mobility a lot more than the meathead style. But I think a lot of you will find the last way the most comfortable, and that's going to be using straps. And so for this one, what you want to do is you want to take your pair of lifting straps and you just want to loop them through the bar and let them hang down like this. Tighten them against the bar and let them hang down roughly where you feel your hands are gonna go, roughly shoulder width, nice and tight, just like that. Set them up nice and in the middle or equidistant from the midline here. And then what you're gonna do is grab halfway down the straps or so, and you're going to go underneath and step out like this. And so let me show you that one more time. You're gonna hold here, maybe halfway down the straps, depending on your mobility. You're gonna find that spot and you're going to pull up and under, find that spot, 2 feet, stand up. Again, you guys will be stepping back, not forwards. And then it is, again, the same thing, trying to keep my elbows up, chest up, head up, knees out over toes. Now, a lot of you guys will find that the most comfortable. Not everybody has lifting straps. You can pick them up for like $9 on Amazon, but it will help you get into position and it will help you require less mobility to do so. You're very welcome to give it a shot, but again, there is no best way to get into position. There is only what is comfortable for you and what allows you to actually hold the load. Now, because the weight is in front of you, as you're squatting, right? As you're squatting, because the weight is in front of you, the bar is gonna want to be pulling you forward like this. And so your trunk muscles and your upper back are gonna have to work really hard to remain upright. And as you fatigue, or even if this is your first time doing it, the biggest mistake I see, and frankly, the real only mistake outside of general squatting principles, is letting your elbows drop and your chest dump forward, and that would look like this instead of like this. And so if you're finding that your trunk muscles, your upper back are getting fatigued, that's kind of normal. And it is both a bug and a feature. It's one of the reasons people don't like the front squat is because it really does challenge those trunk muscles, but that's also really great. And there's nothing wrong with that. Additionally, you're gonna be weaker with the front squat than you are with the back squat, and that's okay. We've taken out some of the muscles of the posterior chain that are really strong and forced our quads to do a higher proportion of the work, and that's fine, but you're gonna probably have to take some load off from whatever you've been back squatting. And so quick recap so we can run through this one more time. Whatever method that you want to pick up the bar with, I'm gonna use the meathead style here for the last demonstration here. Set up the bar in the rack, find that position just behind the deltoid, just above the collarbone. Make sure you're in the middle of the bar, crisscross the arms, step up with 2 feet. Normally I'd be walking backwards out of the rack, so don't look for a second here. Keep the elbows up, head up, chest up, squat straight down. Let the knees go out over the toes. And that's your front squat.